In today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of Manny, the main character from Ice Age, from before the first movie all the way through how he evolved, how his character grew and learned throughout the 5 Ice Age films. Let's go! You're more than welcome here at Cine Lovers. At the beginning of the movie, Manny is shown to us as a very grumpy mammoth who gets irritated really easily. And he keeps that personality all the way through to the last movie, right? But over the course of the films, he does get better. Still, in this first Ice Age, he's super grumpy, and that stays the whole movie. Then we see that all the animals are migrating because the Ice Age is coming and it's going to wipe everything out. So they're leaving, trying to find a new place to live. But Manny is walking the other way, on purpose. But why? That's the question I always had, and you probably did too, maybe for a long time. But I'll explain why Manny was heading in the opposite direction. It sounds crazy, but there's a reason behind it, and I'll explain. He was doing it because he wanted to get away from everything and everyone. He wanted to disappear. He wanted to leave. And that's because he carries a trauma from his past. We get a glimpse of that in the cave scene, and then it's explained better to us later. But I'll get to that very emotional scene soon. Then we have Sid, who's introduced to us. He wants companionship, he wants to stick around, and he follows Manny everywhere. It's a lot like Donkey and Shrek in the first movie. Then, a little later in the film, Manny finds out that Diego wants to steal the baby and take it to his pack. They were going to kill the baby, and Manny doesn't let Diego take the baby alone. So they team up. The 3 of them form a group to take the baby back to the humans. And that's when one of the world's most iconic and beloved trios begins. Manny is shown more as the leader of the group, but in the other movies we see that the leadership is more balanced between Manny and Diego. But in the first film, Manny is clearly the leader. Then Manny and Sid are on their way to find Diego, even though they don't know it yet. And then we get the cave scene, which to me is one of the most emotional scenes in animated movies. That scene is so beautiful because it lasts about 3 minutes without a single line of dialogue, and everyone watching is touched, understanding what's happening just by the visuals, especially with Manny. And the soundtrack there is also really good and moving. Well, in that scene, we see the kid looking at a drawing of 2 mammoths, a father, a mother, and a baby. Then the humans attack the mother and the baby. A lot of people might think Manny is the baby in that story, but I'm telling you right now, Manny is the father. He was the dad. He was married, he had a mammoth partner, and they had a baby together. But then, the woman and the baby were killed by humans. Manny was the only one who managed to escape. He probably went crazy and destroyed those guys. But still, it was a horrible event, and it left a deep trauma in Manny. What's cool is that, through that whole situation, we see a mature side of him when it comes to humans, because he takes such good care of the baby. The baby that's with him in the movie is human, and yet it was humans who killed his own baby. So this shows his maturity, his ability to stay strong. It really shows the good side of him, especially when we compare him to Soto, the leader of the pack, who also lost a lot of friends and family to humans. Soto wants revenge. He wants to kill humans. That's actually why he sends Diego into the group. They took the baby because they were after revenge. If you haven't watched my video about Diego's story, it's right up here. Check it out. It's really good. But Manny, on the other hand, despite going through something very similar to Soto in the pack, chooses to protect the baby. He wants to return the baby to its parents because he knows the baby has nothing to do with what happened. And now, we start to understand why Manny is so overprotective. And if you look at the other movies, he's also super protective of Ellie. He wants both of them close to him at all times because he doesn't want what happened to his old family to ever happen again. Continuing the movie, let's talk about the part where that lava suddenly appears out of nowhere. What happened there is that Manny saves the life of Sid and Diego. Diego is hanging from that ice ball, and Manny goes there, stretches out his trunk, and saves him. Manny had just saved a guy he had barely met, who was actually leading him into an ambush. The guy wanted to kill him and also the baby he was taking care of. But Manny, with his kind heart, still saved Diego, even risking his own life. He ends up falling toward the lava, but then a steam blast lifts him up, and he manages to survive. That's when Manny finds out about the ambush Diego was planning, and he gets really mad at him. But over time, he calms down and ends up accepting Diego's help. In the end, the two of them faced a pact together and save each other's lives. It was really beautiful to see that. By the end of the movie, they managed to return the baby to his father, and everything ends super well. And like in all movies, there's a time skip. We don't know exactly how much time has passed, but the second movie already starts with them living together in some sort of colony with a bunch of other animals. The main story of the movie revolves around Ellie. And at this point, Manny's feeling kind of down because he believes he's the last of his kind on Earth. Then, when he meets Ellie, he wants to be with her, have kids, and make plans. He kind of nags her because he really wants to be with her. He had just found another mammoth of his species, and supposedly they're the only ones left. So they need to reproduce to create a new generation. Now, Ellie is introduced to us as a possum. At least, she thinks she is. Their herd is kinda crazy. So they talk, argue, because Manny wants to stay close to her, and she gets fed up with him, so they split up and take different paths. And let's not forget the flood is already happening, right? It's starting to get more intense. Then Ellie gets stuck in a cave, the water starts rising, and Manny finds out. He turns back and goes after her to help. Once again, Manny is risking his life to save an animal he just met. Before we continue this video about Manny's story in Ice Age, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're new, hit the like button and share this video. There's always a new video here every day just for you. In the cave, Ellie was trapped, blocked by rocks, and Manny had to find a way to get her out. He noticed there was a really big tree trunk, but besides that, those crazy creatures were after him, trying to kill him. But since he's really smart, he manages to come up with a way to save her. And it totally works in the end. We learn that Manny is very brave and knows his own strengths. He knows what he wants. And then the movie ends with a bunch of mammoths arriving, revealing that he and Ellie are not the only ones of their species. In the end, Ellie and Manny end up as a couple. Now, in the third movie, the main story is about Ellie and Manny having a baby. Ellie is pregnant, and Manny can't think about anything else. He forgets everything and everyone, and just wants to focus on Ellie and the baby that's about to be born. Even when Sid gets kidnapped by dinosaurs, Manny is worried about his baby and about Ellie being pregnant. Ellie even tells him not to worry about her and to go after Sid. A lot of the problems in the third movie happen because of how worried Manny is about Ellie, especially in that plant scene. That is, Manny didn't even think about the dangers he could face, or that he might be risking the lives of the other members of the group. But he's so focused on the baby, so worried about Ellie, that he gives them his full attention and forgets everything else. The baby is then born at the end of Ice Age 3. At the start of the fourth movie, she's already grown up a bit, showing another time jump. And then we see how overprotective Manny is with Peaches. But then our dear Scrat ends up causing a massive earthquake. He accidentally causes this earthquake all over the world, which we know as Pangea. And because of that, Manny, Sid, and Diego get separated from the rest and end up adrift at sea. Now, Manny's main goal is to get back to his family. And like I said, the leadership is now shared with Diego, so one looks out for the other and makes sure they don't make the wrong choices. Then Manny fights Captain Gut in a one-on-one battle, where only one of them comes out victorious. And that fight was absolutely epic. So Manny, Diego, and Sid manage to make it back home. And that's how the fourth movie ends. Now, moving on to the fifth Ice Age film, Manny's main story is about trying to stop Peaches from moving away with Julian, her boyfriend. And Manny doesn't like him at all. He starts coming up with all sorts of plans to break them up. He wants to stop the wedding, especially to keep Peaches from going far away with Julian, because he's still that super overprotective dad. He wants her close all the time. Even though he doesn't like Julian, he'd rather have them stay with him than see them leave. Then Julian realizes that Manny doesn't like him. So, he tries to prove his worth. And in the end, Julian saves everyone, helping Manny roll the giant rock into the volcano after they climb up. That's when Manny finally accepts Julian. They make peace. They stick together. And Manny ends up supporting Peaches in Julian's wedding. And that was Manny's evolution, from a lonely, bitter guy, to someone with true friends and a happy family. Now let's see what Manny's next step will be in Ice Age 6, which comes out next year. What do you think is going to happen? Click here to find out everything we know about the next movie, or click here to keep exploring and diving deeper into the Ice Age universe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video here on Cine Lovers.